Every few years, America hits pause. As we speak at the time of recording the video, United States of America is facing the longest shutdown in its history. Federal workers are told to stay home. National parks close. And the world asks, how can the most powerful democracy just stop working? Welcome to the strange world of government shutdowns. Today, we'll decode how the forces shape U.S. politics, stall progress, and affect millions of people. Every year, Congress must pass 12 major spending bills to fund government agencies, from the military to public health. As per the American Constitution, the control of public funds are the sole responsibility of U.S. Congress. Discussions first begin when the lawmakers propose an appropriation bill, which basically says and determines the level of money which will be poured into each department of government. The final version of that bill is then discussed and voted upon by both the House of Representatives and Senate. If passed by both the chamber, that bill goes to the President of USA to become a law. Now, the problem is, if lawmakers can't agree before the deadline, those departments lose the legal right to spend money. That is what we call a government shutdown. Essential services like the military, border security, and air traffic control keep running, but hundreds of thousands of other workers are furloughed, meaning a temporary cessation of salaries that is being sent home without pay. A shutdown is not because the U.S. is broke. It's because lawmakers cannot agree on how to use the money they have, usually due to their ideologies and camps. Shutdowns are the result of political standoffs, when Congress and/or the President refuse to compromise. In 1995, President Bill Clinton and the Republican Congress clashed over Medicare and tax cuts. According to Bill Clinton's autobiography, their differences resulted from differing estimates of economic growth, medical inflation, and anticipated revenues. When Clinton refused to cut the budget in the way Republicans wanted, they voted against the budget, which led to a 21-day government shutdown. Similarly, in 2013, Republicans tried to block President Obama's Affordable Care Act. A funding gap was created when the two chambers of Congress failed to agree to a deal or a middle ground of sorts between the two parties of the Congress. The Republican-led House of Representatives, encouraged by Ted Cruz and a handful of other senators of his party, tried to block and subsequently defunding the Affordable Care Act, or commonly known as the Obamacare.
Make sure that everybody had affordable, accessible coverage.
Later, the House Democrats reached a deal with the Republicans to end the shutdown on the 17th of October, 2013, making this a 16-day shutdown, which had many implications on the national and international, which we will discuss further in this video. Much later in 2018 to 19, the American President Donald Trump demanded money for a border wall, which was one of his core promises he campaigned on. Which led to the then longest shutdown in U.S. history at the time, which lasted for 35 days. This episode of the government shutdown really shows the fight wasn't about numbers, it was about ideology and leverage. And that leverage is often protected by one powerful Senate rule. The filibuster. The filibuster is a rule in the U.S. Senate that allows a minority of senators, just 41 out of 100, to block or delay most bills. Technically, it's when senators refuse to stop debating, preventing a final vote. To end debate, the Senate needs 60 votes. It was originally meant to protect minority viewpoints, giving the opposition a voice. But over time, it's become a tool for obstruction used to stall nearly any controversial legislation. In today's polarized Senate, where few laws earn 60 votes, the filibuster means gridlock is the norm. Here's how the two connect. The House of Representatives might pass a budget on time, but if even a small group of senators objects, They can delay or block it using the filibuster. That delay can push the government past its funding deadline, triggering a shutdown. So while the filibuster doesn't cause shutdowns directly, it's one of the biggest reasons Congress can't fix them quickly. When a shutdown begins, life inside the federal government freezes. Over 800,000 federal workers are furloughed or forced to work without pay. During the 2013 government shutdown, another 1.3 million were required to report to work without known payment dates. On October 4, 2013, U.S. Trade Representative Michael Froman announced that a scheduled meeting with European Union diplomats regarding the proposed transatlantic free trade area, TAFTA, would be postponed as U.S. officials could not travel to Brussels. Passport applications, small business loans, national parks, and many public services grind to a halt. Defense manufacturing had to be delayed, and workers were laid off and not paid during the shutdown. It costed the government roughly $3 billion. A January 28, 2019 Congressional Budget Office report estimated that the 35-day partial government shutdown cost the American economy at least $11 billion, including $3 billion in permanent losses, making it one of the most expensive gridlocks at ground level in daily lives, the families living paycheck to paycheck struggle, even though Congress usually restores back pay afterward. Bipartisan Policy Center economists estimate that each day of a shutdown costs the U.S. hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars in lost productivity. And all of it happens not because the government can't pay its bills, but because leaders won't agree. On October 1st, 2025, the U.S. federal government entered a shutdown after Congress failed to pass the necessary appropriations for the 2026 fiscal year. As of now, it has become the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, surpassing the prior 2018-19 record. What's causing the impasse? Key demands include extensions of health insurance tax credits under the Affordable Care Act and separate spending bills. But the Senate has rejected the House's funding resolutions 14 times so far. On November 9th, a bipartisan agreement was negotiated by several senators. The Senate voted 60-40 on the night of November 9th to advance a continuing resolution to reopen the government. We can see the effects of the present shutdown of the American government in daily lives. Some 1.4 million federal workers are either furloughed or working without pay. Even NASA employees are not exempt to these effects. Over 15,000 salaries in NASA had to be suspended due to this. Vital sectors overseas are also feeling the ripple. Local staff at U.S. military bases in Europe have gone unpaid. Travel disruptions are mounting, flight cancellations and air traffic control delays tied to staffing issues. Government shutdowns might sound like political drama show, but they have real consequences for people, paychecks, and the country's stability. Understanding these systems helps us see beyond the headlines and recognize that democracy depends on compromise. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like, subscribe, and share this video. Because democracy only works when citizens understand how it breaks. I will see you in the next one.